Well, Vicki, can you walk us through the process of producing a cut flower from start to finish?
Sure. Most of the cut flowers we grow, we start ourselves from seed. That's just the cheapest and the easiest way to do that.
Right.
And so we actually have on a calendar start dates for things. That's also how we keep track of our successive plantings, because we don't plant things just once. It's every 2 weeks, every week, every 3 weeks, something like that, so that we have a continuous source of flowers. And so what we do is we start our seeds in trays like this. Now, the reason that we do this instead of using a vacuum seeder and seeding directly into flats is several reasons. One, for space. That would take up a lot of space. Two, it gives us a little bit of flexibility according to what kind of weather we have. And so we start our seeds like this, and then when they get like this one set of true leaves on them or a really good root system, then we bump them up into a 72 size cell flat.
And these have a pretty sizable soil base.
Yes, they have. We let the root system develop very, very well. Now, this is larger than a 72, but before we plant them out in the greenhouse or in the field, we let the root system, get healthy, get strong, and that way the plants can survive out in the elements a lot better.
Absolutely. And these are a little bit larger plug than some of the other cells. That gives you a little more flexibility, I imagine.
Yeah, these are zinnias, and we love to grow zinnias, and they're a really, really nice summer flower in the field, and we've been experimenting for years on how we can grow the very best zinnia. What's the best way to do it? And this year we're actually experimenting with putting them out in a larger cell instead of a 72 to really give them a strong root system and let them get going in a hurry.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look at the next stage once we move them out either to the greenhouse or the field, right?
Yes, yes.
Vicki, from the production greenhouse, the transplants either move into a greenhouse or into the field. What makes that selection?
Primarily what makes that selection is what type of flower it is. Our greenhouse is our most expensive space, and so we want our high dollar crops that need some protection and from insects and weather to come into the greenhouse. And they're going to produce more dollars per square foot that way.
Okay, and here we have Lisianthus Planting.
Yes.
And at first look, what I notice is they're really dense. They're spaced very close together.
They are, and Lisianthus is one of those things that you can plant dense, and the denser you plant it, you don't want to do too close, but with our netting here, we do 2 plants per square, and that's perfect to make them go up. They're going up for the light, so you get a longer stretch on the stem, which that's what florists want,
right.
A longer stem. And not only that, but we have more stems per square foot, and that's what we're looking for in the greenhouse. Crops that produce a lot of stems per square foot and are high dollar. Because in our greenhouse, we're looking for anywhere from $20 to $30 a square foot is what we want to see our crops make. Okay. And if they don't make that, they don't get in.
They're out in the field.
Yes.
And then the netting, it helps you space your seedlings, but as the plants grow, it actually also works for support?
Support, yes. As the crop grows, the netting comes up too.
Okay, and as with all your crops, this one, you have successions. This one was planted just yesterday, but
yes.
We have another row in here that's been in for 2
2 weeks,
and we could see the
progression
difference in growth.
That. Yes.
All right, well, let's look at a field crop that's getting near harvest.
Okay.
Well, Vicki, here we have one of your field crops that's ready for harvest, and I imagine most of the crops out here you harvest until they're pretty much gone, right?
Right. We either pick them all, or if the weather stops us, then we move on to other things that are blooming. But there's times in the summer where we may have 40 or 50 different things all blooming at once. This time of year, this is one of the first things, the bachelor's buttons.
And for these, you're going to harvest a fully open flower.
Yes. Fully open flower, and then some of these buds have some color on them too. And we'll just pick the whole stem, buds, flowers, all, everything, because it all makes it an interesting, in a bouquet or arrangement, an interesting look.
Okay. And from here, they're going to move up into your processing facility and
Yes, in
go
the
through
field
another
what we do is we cut everything into buckets of plain water, then we take them back all up to the building, then we process them, we clean them, we recut them, bunch them, and put them in whatever solution we need to. Some things like to just be kept in plain water, some things like a chlorine tablet put in with them to keep the bacteria down, some things want a little bit of food, and every flower is different. So we know what we need to do with all the different flowers that we grow and do that, and then put them in the cooler to take the heat out of them and to hold them.
Vicki, a lot of my viewers grow cut flowers, but it's hard to get an appreciation of what does it take to grow commercially, this mass numbers.
Well, probably the most important thing for us is scheduling, and we have a calendar that we have everything written down on so that none of us forget when things need to be sown, when things should go out in the field, any of our direct seedings. But except for sunflowers, everything we do is hand planted and hand picked.
And you grow 150 different varieties of cut flower.
Yes.
How many plants does that come to over the course of a year?
Well, just in the field, we are planting around 250,000 plants every year, and that's a lot of plants.
And that's not including the greenhouses?
And that's not including the greenhouses.
Goodness.
And so, for instance, the sunflower sowings, we do approximately 5,000 sunflowers every week for 23 weeks. And those are direct seeded because we just don't have space in the greenhouse for plants. And we found that direct seeding works just fine on those.
I imagine there's quite a bit of experimenting to learn what works, what doesn't, and how could we improve?
Absolutely. We experiment all the time. We give something out in the field maybe 3 years, trying different things to see if we can make it produce a good crop outside. If we can't, then maybe we'll give it one more try in the greenhouse. And this Crispedia was one of them. We tried it for 3 years out in the field. We really didn't get much at all. And but in the greenhouse, it's producing like crazy. Since it was an experiment, we decided to put it in our bulb crates to utilize those. But it's done so well that what we'll do next year is devote a bed for it.
And
in
the bulb
greenhouse.
crates, that's another one of your experiments, isn't it?
The bulb crates are another one of our experiments. We had a lot because a lot of our bulbs that we get, tulips and everything, come in bulb crates. So we have all of these bulb crates available. And so some of our shorter crops actually started with anemones, that we put anemones in these bulb crates and we don't have to bend clear over to pick them. And it makes harvesting much easier, and also we can control the moisture and diseases much better. Anemones are very disease prone. And in the bulb crates, we put soilless mix in those, and that helps alleviate all of those problems.
Well, it's such a huge undertaking and really gives me some perspective on what goes into producing a beautiful bouquet. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for coming out and taking a look.